The week of October the 7th through to the 14th is going to be an important week. It's Pluto's last stand. Not only is Pluto finishing up his stay in Capricorn as he heads direct on Friday the 11th, but he's also correspondingly doing this when we have a retrograde sheriff, Jupiter going backwards in the sky, and at the same time, we have Uranus getting back in touch with that dangerous and demonic star, Algol. And did I mention we're also going to see a comet around the 12th, which is Saturday, become visible in our heavens? All said and done, I'm not sure what I'm going to call this video, but it is one of the most incredibly important weeks of 2024. It's an era-changing, game-changing week ahead. We're going to talk about what it might mean for you to finally get ready to kiss Pluto goodbye. He's been traveling in your Capricorn sky in your natal chart since 2008, and this is his last gift or reward for you as you've learned the lessons of power, wealth, abuse, the dark fathers, letting go control of your own power, displacing your inner source of knowing what real, authentic power means. And the lessons have been learned by you and by me because Pluto's getting ready to leave, and he may leave a parting little gift. So we'll talk about what gifts he might give you based on your sign, your sun, your moon, or your rising. All three are things you can listen to today. And don't forget, he doesn't fully get the heck out of that sign of Capricorn until the 19th of November, but he is moving direct at last. And so this is where we're done dredging the past and we're moving forward. When it comes to the world, this is called world or mundane astrology. We're going to talk about how this week puts Donald Trump in great harm's way all the way through till Monday, Tuesday of next week. We're also going to mention how this might impact events in the world to do with scandals around money, power, and politics. Finally, things to do with stock markets and equity markets and things to do with finance may also be very turbulent as we approach the end of this week into early next week, based on Uranus on the star Algol. And I'll explain why once we get into the mundane astrology portion. Some people always say, what should I listen to? My sun, my moon, or my rising? Your sun sign is about your career and purpose and the father figures in your life. Your moon is about the mother figures in your life and about your body mind complex. How do you feel about things? How do you think and feel about your life? But it's also connected to matters to do with your home and where you live and property. Whereas in general, the rising sign is everything about your life. It's probably the most accurate. But often I find the sun sign is very delineative as well. All right, think of the sun as your eternal nature or the core essential you, and the role you play, the actor is the sun, and the role you play is the rising sign. So there's some ideas. You check it out. You listen to all three. Now, but by the way, I forgot to say, I am Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac whole sign houses, and I love those fixed stars and minor asteroids. And we'll be bringing a few minor asteroids into the story today. I talked a lot last week about how the asteroid Libitina, the last couple of weeks, was traveling with Mars, and we expected to see funerals for world leaders or the death of world leaders. And that's still playing out as Libitina is still traveling pretty close to Mars. Keep that in mind. Mars now moving through Cancer. However, we did see the death of Nasrallah, the head of the Hezbollah, in an assassination or a bomb attempt or whatever, killing by, its opponent, the nation of I. And so that did indeed happen. In fact, there was a lot of mourning and grieving and funeraling for him in the places in the world where he was respected. And I believe he was in power since 1990. Now, the other thing I want to mention is this week has some interesting, nice touches early on. I think it's a bait and switch, by the way, a bait and switch, because it doesn't seem so bad Monday, Tuesday, and then it starts to slide downhill pretty quickly towards the weekend. But before I tell you about that downhill slide, and you're new to my channel as well, or you're a regular, welcome back. My big share for the month is that by October 31st, you've lost your chance to get my 2025 individual videos, up to 2 hours each, or the whole sign bundle. Okay, that's like 24 hours of video content for yourself. You can listen for your sun, moon, rising. You can gift it to friends and family. This material is being produced by me as we speak, and it will be available available in your inbox, private videos on November 17th if you get the pre-sale price. It'll never come back to this price again. I promise you that. And it's my fundraiser. I use this to buy my equipment, my ring lights and my mics and my new laptop, which I need. This one is like really old and I'm buying a new laptop this year. If you want to help and hire time stampers and video editors, you want to help me grow this channel and you really like what I'm up to, and that's something you want to see me continue to do good well at, then just help me out. It's a fundraiser. I don't ask for donations. I give you something in exchange for your support. So thanks you very much. All the information is in the description box. Hit the more link and you can see everything I offer. Or go check it out in the comments. I'll try to remember to pin it there with the timestamps. Now, let's start off talking about Pluto. Let's go right to the meat of the matter, because yes, Monday and Tuesday, it's a bait and switch. We have a Venus in a trine to Mars. Sexy time, we would call it. But I don't know, Mars has fallen in the sign of Cancer. And Venus is in her detriment or exile in the sign of Scorpio. And so I'm kind of thinking misery loves company. You know what I mean? Both of them are not in great condition. Both of them are, in places of not happy spots. I mean, Venus is a Scorpio, Mars is sign, and normally he could give her some guidance, but then he's trying to stay afloat on his floaty toy in the Cancer waters. Mars in Cancer is very much a patriot or a nationalist and a protector of home and homeland, but he's also a little bit irrational. He's lost his mind. He's in his emotions in Cancer. Right now, that sign of Mars is moving through Cancer, which is the nation of Israel, the nation of I's 10th house of leadership. We could argue that nation's leadership has kind of gone a little berserker. And so it's running on high emotion, or not certainly on logical and linear decision-making powers around Mars, war. So keep that in mind. So when I think about each of us baiting and switching on Monday, Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday when this Venus is trining Mars, we may find ourselves having an almost good feeling about, I love this person. This is so wonderful. I'm so held in the arms of this romantic or pleasurable thing. The thing I desire and want, Venus, is being brought to me by the action hero Mars, and some kind of union between the two is coming together. But, you're going to bump into some trouble, right? Because I don't know, you can say that Mars is swimming through a swamp and Venus is like, in a dark creek in the middle of the forest in Scorpio land, and they're just in really weird places for this trine to happen. And already last week there was a trine involving Saturn, that grand water trine. And even though the grand water trine, Saturn, Mars, and Venus, Pisces and Scorpio and Cancer is positive, the detriment of the sky is a challenge. We even have Jupiter in his own detriment in exile in the sign of Gemini. We have a very undignified sky this week. In my all signs videos for each sign and in my overview of the month of October for the videos I've created, I do mention that this is a highly difficult second half of the month of October. Because of some of this lack of detriment, that we really begin to get into swampy territory here with these guys that are all, well, let's just say most of October, undignified planetary placements. We don't get Mars out of Cancer till November. So keep it in mind, right? It's kind of like I'm trying to say, yes, it's a trine. Get some sexy time on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But also remember, it's water signs, it's emotions. So more important is maybe emotional relationship energetics being focused on, rather than the normal traditional sexy time physical stories or whatever, that kind of thing. Also on like Monday, Tuesday, Mercury will it be in a nice trine from Libra, where he has some essential dignity there. I mean, some secondary dignity. Mercury will be in Libra, a sign of peace treaties, harmony, agreements, justice, balance, fairness. And he will be trining Jupiter, which is, of course, a planet that means a truth, wisdom as well, and law. And so there might be something going on Monday and Tuesday around that, but Jupiter is in a sign of his exile. He's in detriment. We'll see. It could be like almost like a positive but not true or ineffective announcements, Mercury, around resolutions for peace in various places that are currently not at peace in the world. That's how I'm going to say that. And, Jupiter's traveling in the United States sibly chart through its natal 7th house of open enemies and adversaries. And so whatever that is in the US, what they call an adversary or open enemy, Iran might be one of them. There may be some negotiations, some diplomacy Libra's diplomacy that seems to be taking center stage Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And it might look good on the surface. I don't know that it is because Jupiter goes retrograde after Mercury has a loving conversation with him. Jupiter goes retrograde on the 9th, which is Wednesday. And that's like I changed my mind. It's almost like we could see the beginning of the week. We're approaching a peace deal, we're approaching a negotiation or diplomatic intervention for places of war in the world. And then all of a sudden, Jupiter goes backward. The other one would be a Supreme Court justice falling ill or passing away. That's because of another cycle I've already tracked to what's going on in our sky. But whatever this is, Jupiter retrograding on Wednesday at 21 degrees of the sign of Gemini is doing it as it is conjunct Mars in the United States sibly natal chart in the house of open enemies and adversaries. You know, it's a militaristic country. It was born with the fighting soldier energy in the sign of the brothers. It can indicate a country that's prone to civil wars, which it has been. The United States is a country that wants to face its enemies with a sword in its hand. It's a militaristic country. I actually went through Wikipedia to find a bunch of war dates for some stuff in my research, and I couldn't find a time the United States wasn't involved in some military action of some sort since its inception. There literally was no white space there. So with this Mars being approached and conjunct and stationed retrograde on by Jupiter, the last time this happened, the fallout was Pearl Harbor, a war with Japan, and shortly after, the United States got dragged into a Second World War. So I know that that is a correlation that may indeed happen again, because that's the last time Jupiter stationed retrograde on the Mars in the United States house of open enemies. And it didn't happen right away. Just like back then, it was happening in October, and it took until December for the war with Japan to begin vis-a-vis the Pearl Harbor incident. So I don't know if we're going to see a Pearl Harbor incident. I'm not suggesting there's going to be an attack on U.S. soil, although I am concerned about that from another couple of reasons. But there's something that could ignite the United States to be wanting to move into an position of war rather than proxy war or supporting countries at war with weapons and money. Now, I had a dream that October 14th was a critical date. It may be personal. There may be something going on in my life October the 14th, and I will let you know. But also knowing what the sky looks like with Jupiter stationing retrograde on the 9th and Pluto moving direct on Friday the 11th, and Mercury squaring Pluto on the 13th, 14th, which is Sunday, Monday, I am concerned that there's going to be a major difficult world event in our stories. And with Donald Trump experiencing Uranus back on his midheaven with Algol, the same thing that occurred in the July assassination attempt is back again throughout Friday through to next Tuesday. He's back in the energy signature even to next Wednesday. So therefore, the thing that triggered the first attempt against him, which was Uranus and Mars on his midheaven, and I did predict that would happen, including the time it may happen within the week. I said before or after the 15th of July on my channel, and that was kind of like what astrology is for, prediction or forecasting. It's back again without Mars directly complicit. Mars is not sitting on the midheaven with Uranus, but Uranus is back on Donald Trump's midheaven. And that itself is daunting enough, right? And Jupiter is refraining from touching Donald Trump's sun, and Jupiter is refraining from touching Kamala Harris's ascendant, because their ascendant, Kamala, at 22 degrees of Gemini, and Donald Trump's 24 Gemini sun are being like, here comes Jupiter, coronation, blessing, success, winning. And then Jupiter backs off. My partner said that maybe I have to think about this, that the delay that astrologers are seeing in the election, whether the election is delayed itself, whether the results are delayed, may also be more like a delay in the actual inauguration. And what could cause that to happen, I am not yet sure. I have an election panel coming out on Tuesday with some esteemed astrologers and diviners. It's already been recorded, and I'm just doing some edits on it, and you'll have that out on Tuesday. Unfortunately, we all had the same consensus, but I'll let you see what it is. But we're showing you the why of it, we're not advocating for an outcome. We're showing you the astrology and using different techniques by each person that indicate what the likely final winner is on that election of 2024 in the United States. My prime minister in Canada has the same problem that Donald Trump has. They both have their midheaven on Algol. And my prime minister is under non-confidence votes. They're trying to oust him from power. The conservatives are trying to get rid of him. Bloc Québécois is giving an ultimatum, but at the end of October, if they haven't fulfilled it, the Bloc is going to vote for them going to side with the conservatives and have Trudeau removed from power. Now, let me just say, I'm going to call a snap election. I'm not sure it will happen. I think it may happen next year. I'll have to double check it. But you can see the turbulence that Prime Minister Trudeau is under. And Donald Trump is in the same spot. And this algal star is on Jupiter for Kamala Harris in her 12th house. They're all receiving different ways that algal Uranus is impacting them. This only happens once every 84 years. It's a once in a lifetime shakeup for Trump's career and purpose, shakeup for Kamala Harris's Jupiter, backroom deals and negotiations to get to power because Jupiter rules her 10th house. We saw that already happen. And it's definitely causing erratic impulses through the Prime Minister of Canada's natal chart. He is the most unpopular prime minister we've ever had, and he's pretty well, for most parts, despised. And so he's holding on to power, clinging. And that brings me to a couple of things. We're going to talk about what it means for you and your sign to go through Pluto direct. And in the world astrology, I focus this week on the Pluto direct on Friday, going into the star algal Uranus and the comet appearing on the 12th, which can be a harbinger of war, especially if it rises or appears to their visible eye in the evening near the star Regulus, which is king, born to rule, power, leadership. If it is close to Regulus, we may see the downfall of a leader or country or kingdom. We shall see. But Mercury squaring Pluto on Sunday and Monday is also its own bit of importance. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that for the world. Now, if you don't like world astrology, don't sweat it. You can click the title of the video where the more button is and jump to your chapter for your sign, or look in the pinned comments where I have all of the timestamps done for you as a courtesy. But if you want to know about what's going on in the world, you might want to stick around for the next 15 to 20 minutes and hear, hopefully not longer, and hear a little bit about it. I will not cover Jupiter retrograde because on Sunday, October the 6th, that video was released, and I dive into what that means for the world and your sign. So check that video out. Go back and look for it. I'll try to remember to pin it in the comments. Stephen Forrest is an evolutionary astrologer, and he wrote a beautiful article called The Fall of the Dark Fathers. Forrest, Forrest. Go Google that. It was about 2 years ago. He created that article, and it's been stunning to watch some of the stories that he's talked about play out. Now, when Pluto, he wrote a new one called Pluto's Last Stand, and I'm cribbing his title, although I told him I was going to do that for this video. But he did talk about in Pluto's Last Stand a few things, and I want to share that with you. And hopefully this is useful for you. But it means, because we're not going to generationally see this again, right? We're seeing the fall of the dark fathers at Pluto. When he moved through Leo in the 40s and 50s, the boomer generation into the early 60s created the old men that run the world. I mean, come on, guys, it's getting ridiculous. Or the old women who act like dark fathers. You know, you can go there if you like. You can say Pelosi. You can say, what's that guy, the Senate guy that looks like a turtle? And in the United States, he's so old, you know, or Feinstein, who hung on to power, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was old and hung on to the last little bit of power to the detriment of being able to swap her out for another Democrat. Or we can look at the old guard as Trump and Biden and Netanyahu. These are the boomer generation, and they're holding on like this to power. When we think of plutocracies, tyrants, dictators, autocrats, and oligarchies, we're talking Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. Now, Pluto is tempting us and teasing us with a taste of Aquarius. He went into Aquarius in 2023 for 10 weeks. And my memory serves me, it was March to June. And then he went into Aquarius again between January and September 1st of 2024. So we've been getting used to a new feeling of Pluto in the sign of the people and the water bearer who pours the healing waters on humanity. And it's about aliens and AI and technology and transformation of structures of community and economic structures as well. We're likely to see principalities, smaller groups of alliances. We saw the BRICS nations now coming together and aligning pro-Iran. We're going to see a lot of new alliances amongst people and groups of people as well as revolutions with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. That said, the way Pluto can restructure reality is power to the all or the people, away from the Capricornian top-down structures. Keep that in mind. We've got 20 years ahead from November the 19th to 2044, where we're going to see this new narrative play out. We're alive to experience it. We decided to be born now. You're here, I'm here, we're here in a way we haven't seen since the founding of the United States and the American Revolution and the French Revolution and the beginning of a new state. It was meant to be the pursuit of happiness. It was meant to be a democracy. It's actually a republic, but it's meant to act democratically. And it's maybe a failed experiment. The fall of Rome twice, the French Revolution, and anytime a nation has a Pluto return, the United States is finishing its Pluto return for the last 5 years. It is the death and rebirth of a nation. If you have to make a statement about what the United States experiment was, it was about we the people, pursuit of happiness, bring me your huddled masses, anyone can do it, the American dream, equality and equity and all of that stuff. But it became something else, right? It didn't live up to the dream. Nothing ever does. It's going to have to be something new, something fresh. And who knows what the new birth of America is. I always joke about aliens on the White House lawn. I'm Canadian. Aliens on the White House lawn will change the world. And one of the things I'm predicting is that in 2026, 27, if I'm wrong, then, I'll eat some crow in front of you. We're going to see the first true connection to a non-human civilization. That's all I know. That's true. I don't know if they're coming from under the earth, another dimension, or another planet. And we're going to reframe our role in the universe. And we're going to start to move away from the enmity, the xenophobia, and the polarity that is running our planet, which will lead to destruction of our planet. So we need to move into a new, we the people who aren't all human mindset. Now that's enough of that. What else do I want to tell you? Pluto is about the dark father, but he's also about the elder. He's also about death. Capricorn is elders. So we've all been seeing, kind of an eldering population, right? We're in the boomers, the boomers account for the drag on the social security system or the pension systems of countries, because basically it's a Ponzi scheme. And so these young people, the millennials and the Gen X's and all the Gen Zs, they're not getting anything out of this. They're putting money into their paychecks that go to a booming aging population. And it's funny because Capricorn, being Kronos and Saturn and time and the aged wise one, and Pluto is the destruction of something. I think it's the destruction of the understanding that we all thought there's some kind of we're all going to save up our pension, get our watch, and then retire goodly into that night and play golf and whatever. Those new generations know they're not going to get that. There's not a base of people to support that. We have a new way. We have to see the ultimate goal of being alive on Earth. Now, a lot of people who are Capricorn rising did experience a lot of real death in their lives since 2008. There you go. Traditional values are Capricornian, and Pluto has been demolishing our values there. Pluto has been since 2008 showing us the underbelly of power and riches without moral guardrails. We have seen Black Lives Matter and the injustices to, by authorities towards people of color. We have seen the exposure of Weinstein and the Me Too movement, Epstein and Sex Island, and his, supposed suicide. We all know he was killed in prison. That's not a surprise, right? We know that because the little black book of island visitors are all those corrupt people. And just as Pluto's getting ready to leave, and we saw the subprime loan scandal, the fall of Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, people are suspicious that the power struggles that have been here, the power structures and the people behind them that have been here, there's something rotten in Denmark. Something doesn't feel right. We know that we can't trust the powers that be, and that Pluto in Aquarius will blow out the ability of powers that be to control the people. People are wisening up. That was the American Revolution and the building of the United States afterwards, as Pluto moved into Aquarius. After the Sibly chart and after the Declaration of Independence, a new nation was built. And the revolution continued. All right, now, and let them eat cake, and Marie Antoinette and the French Revolution, and the peasants rose up against the power that controlled them. So we can edit our values. We can change the way we see the world, as Pluto is going to move out of the old traditional value systems into something new. P. Diddy is a perfect example of Pluto in Aquarius, looking back over, coming up this November, at the rot underneath everything. P. Diddy and all the people who went to his freak offs are now biting their nails that they're going to be uncovered and discovered for their participation in debauchery, S trafficking, and really dark stuff. And it's almost like you can smell it. You know what I mean? Like there's just something about, all that kerfuffle about the weird French Olympics, extravaganza opening show. I didn't even follow much of it, but yes, I know it just feels wrong. It feels like something to do with, demon worship or something. We just don't understand that maybe people believe that stuff and they really do human sacrifices and they are doing arcane spells. We can say that whether it's true or not that these things work doesn't matter. People behave as if they do, and they do dark things in service of that belief. And the Dark Fathers, funny enough, in Stephen Forrest Dark Fathers article back in maybe 2022 or 3, he actually names a few people as Dark Fathers. He does say Trump. I'm not saying Trump is or isn't a dark father. I think he's a rabble rouser and a disruptor. But he also said Netanyahu. He also said Putin. He also said, give me more, give me more. He put a lot of people in the dark fathers category. So one thing that I like what Stephen Forrest is his writing. He's a really good writer. And here's what he has to say from his article, Pluto's Last Stand. Put the term dark fathers in your head and see who lights up, who abuses power, who clings to power for its own sake, who crushes dissent. You can go with the Xi Jinping if you like. Notice how these people, mostly male, have seemingly bred fleas on a dog since Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. Don't forget, Pluto unearths what's already there. It doesn't foment, create it. It shows us what's hidden beneath the surface. Start by realizing these corrupt world leaders are just the tip of the iceberg. There are dark fathers pontificating in half of the dysfunctional families of the world, and some of these dark fathers are female. Finally, here's some things he mentions. I like this. If you have been damaged by the dark destructive figures of authority, have you paid too high a price for silently defending yourself from them? Have you lost your faith? Have you lost faith in your ability to be discerning about who you can actually trust for guidance in a positive way? My answer to that is yes. We don't trust the legacy media. We don't trust what governments tell us. The pandemic was a massive test in how trusting the sheeple could be. And now the sheeple are realizing that they were trusting something that didn't merit their trust. Have you allowed yourself to become devoted to any guide, hero, or role model who is not worthy of you? Have you been deceived by a sheep in wolf's clothing? I think that's the vibe we all feel looking back since 2008. And I feel that is where we're going to see in the next turnaround point, Pluto direct Friday the 11th through to November 19th, kind of a crescendo in the world of profound realizations and revelations about why people in power do what they do. If you think that the war in the ME part of the world is anything to do with a moral, holy war, it is about power, greed, economics. It is about money. It always is. And you might want to research the BENG canal, okay, and find out more about trade routes and real power struggles and why this is being supported, that has been supported up till now by the United States of America. Now, we are going to move away from that general rant to show you the sky. And I would say to you this, there is a visible comet that could be quite bright in our sky, apparently. It survived its contact with the sun, and it's perihelion, I guess is what it's called. And it's coming through to be visible around the 12th and the 13th, apparently. We'll see in the evening. And what I'd say is just after the sun sets. And so what I'm saying is that it is always an omen, a comment of some kind. It can be positive, can be negative. It is often a portent when it comes to war, especially if it's going to be visible near the star Regulus, which it may be. We'll see. And that could be some war omen or bad omen. We already know there's a war brewing. It will stay regional or will become global is the only question we have. The situation is not tenable with what's happening in the Middle East. Now, Sunday and Monday, we're going to feel Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we're going to feel Mercury coming into a square to Pluto, and Pluto is now in direct motion. And he's finalizing his story, right? So, what does it mean when Mercury and Pluto are in this condition of square? And we've been having Mercury square Pluto since 2008. So, it's on the yearly, it's not a new thing, but we have Pluto direct, we have a comet overhead, perhaps near Regulus, fixed star Regulus, which is currently sitting at 0 degrees of Virgo in our Western tropical zodiac, and much earlier in the sign of Leo in the sidereal real-time sky. Here's what Renn Butler of the Archetypal universe has to say. Oh, I've got sunlight coming in a weird way. Let me try to fix that. I'll be right back. Can't see properly with the light on my screen. There we go. So what does Renn Butler in the Archetypal universe have to say? Oh my God. It's like it was cloudy all morning and suddenly it's sunny. That means I have to fix my window because I can't see anything. Give me a 5 seconds here. Hopefully that helps. That's a bit better. Okay, guys, what the heck? You can't have everything work the way you want it. I'll fix it in a minute. Renn Butler in the Archetypal universe, and he's a friend of mine. I'm having some dinner with him and his woman coming into town this week. He's also my teacher in the past, and I think he's amazing. And his book is an invaluable resource for all astrologers. So there you go. He says about Pluto and Mercury is this: in the dark shadow side, because it's a square, so we're looking to the dark side of it. Okay, intense and powerful criticism, the destructive effect of truth. It's like X-ray vision. Mercury's digging for what we need to know. And if he's in Libra at 29 degrees, and Pluto is at 29 degrees at Capricorn, anaretic turbulent degrees. And don't forget justice, right? Fairness, diplomacy, peace is where Mercury's sitting. Pluto in Capricorn, power, oligarchies, power structures, dark fathers, the old white guys that run the world. They're not all white, obviously, but you know what I mean, right? All right. Destructive effect, patriarchy, the destructive dark patriarchy, the destructive effect of truth, the breakdown. And, some people say, oh, well, Margaret Thatcher went to war in the Falklands and she was a woman, because I always say women should run the world. She was a woman in a man's world. She was groomed to act like a man and think like a man. All right. End of story. And other females who get up to power structures like that. The destructive effect of truth, the breakdown of old philosophical models of certainties, a transformed point of view, exploded beliefs, the need for change, bulldozed a road down the center of my mind. Maya Angelou is born with a Pluto, Mars, a Mercury trine. So that's a positive energy, the need for change, bulldozed a road down the center of my mind. A penchant for dark comedy, and then he also says aggressive dogma, propaganda, mental domination, power struggles, desires to change other people's minds forcefully, urges to impose one's intellectual or philosophical model on the world, bad-mouthing, destructive gossip, nasty rumors, mudslinging, attempts to destroy others verbally, muckraking journalism, intrusive reporting, the poison pen or the poison tongue, devastating insults, crude speech, and sexual innuendos. All right, so let's see what this Pluto energy is like with Mercury on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the 12th, 13th, and 14th. Well, we have a comet showing up in the sky, and we have Pluto going direct for Pluto's last stand. Okay, I'm going to show you the sky and we're going to do your sign. And I might just mention the world briefly. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So in the course of the next 15 minutes, I think that I will not go longer. I want to show you the asteroids involved in our sky. For asteroid lovers, the devil is in the details. And it's literally like seeing the syntax or the punctuation marks in a sentence that make it make sense. And we have the asteroid Zeus for King of Mount Olympus on Pluto, the god of death. Yes, the death of a king. We also have Ixion, the rule breaker, transgressor, Pholus, involved with Quoar, creations of whole new systems of thought. connected to a place where the moon will be sitting at the bending of the nodes of fate in the middle of this week around Thursday, which is very intense because it activates the eclipse points as well. We have Salacia for gossip and things that are scandalous sitting with the North Node that was in place as well during the whole P. Diddy scandal. We have Typhon, like typhoon and major water events and storms coming from water or involving water, sitting with Venus in her detriment in the sign of water, Scorpio. And we have also the asteroid Urania sitting with Venus. And while she is the muse of astrology and astronomy, Urania makes me think of uranium and things connected to uranium. You know what I mean. And finally, we have Saturn on Nessus, the actual asteroid for revenge. And so we're going to talk about what this might mean with all of these devils in the details. I'll show you the sky, and then we'll move to your sign. This is devils in the details about world events. I'm not going to necessarily say that you're going to deal this up yourself. That would be a little bit unlikely. We are not world leaders. We are people, little peon people in the game of life. This is, am I recording? I am. This is the sky. Pinned is the Aries mark, and I've pushed us through to Jupiter stationing retrograde on Wednesday, the 9th of the month. But I want you to see these asteroids so you know what I'm talking about. Number one, we'll note if we go this way that Salacia is on the North Node in the sign of Aries. And Salacia just means an increase or volume up on gossip and scandal. And in fact, we saw that with the P. Diddy, especially given Salacia is usually involved in sex scandal. And indeed, during the time that Russell Brand was going through that and his end of reality about his scandal, Salacia was connected to his moon in Aries. So we'll see that the asteroid will bring scandal wherever it goes. Aries is a sign of war. We're probably more likely as well to see war scandals or scandals around matters of war and conflict than anything, continuing as Salacia is tracking with the node of fate and has been for a while. The other thing to notice in the sky, and Mars is still with Libitina, the funeral asteroid, but the funeral asteroid is a little bit behind now. So we've seen some major losses of life of world leaders, but Libitina is still connected to Mars as well, god of ending and separating in his detriment in the sign of Cancer. Donald Trump's sun is on the Cancer sun of the United States. He has a solar return sun in the sign of Cancer with Mars and Libitina transferring over the sun, which represents one's cardiovascular system, heart, as well as one's vitality and life force. So yes, he's still in harm's way. And finally, moving around the sky this way, you're going to notice that this is a south node and it's sitting here and it's strongly accompanied by this particular asteroid. And just remember which one that was. So because I haven't learned all my symbols, so let me just double check which one I had highlighted. If I picked it, there's a reason. Hestia, that's right. The goddess of the hearth. Now, your hearth is your hearth and home, right? Hestia is like Vesta, the sacred flame, but it's like your fireplace, your kitchen, the sacred home fires that you burn, and cook your meals on. So wherever we see Hestia, we think of home and hearth. And so home and hearth in Libra. Libra is a sign that's connected to Kamala Harris. She has a Libra sun at 27, to Netanyahu, a Libra sun at 27 Libra, but also to the whole nation of Israel has a home and hearth goddess with the south node for loss. The loss of home and hearth is a story that the United States, that nation in the Middle East, is dealing with right now. And we shall see maybe some stories that are not conducive to the expansion of home and homeland for that country, because the fact is that this part of the sky represents territory for that country. Also, the political oppositional powers to the one in power now. So the leader of Israel and his cohorts in power, this is the oppositional force within their country, other opposing parties within the cabinet or within the, whatever they call it, Knesset. It isn't easy to see this kind of stellium because of the moon, which represents things that impact the people of the home and homeland and the hearth and hearthland of the nation of Israel. And it can indicate potentially a very challenging point around the 9th of October, give or take a day or two on either side. Because as you know, on the 12th, the comet will be visible as well. And perhaps over here in our tropical sky about this point, around or close to the tail end of Leo or the beginning of Western tropical Virgo, where the star Regulus is sitting. Now, when I go back to the idea of the square from the hearth and hearth home south node to this moon on these following things: Pholus, the domino effect; Koar, the god of creating a whole new system of order and something that has never been here before. This is a trans-Neptunian energy. And also this particular position, Ixion, the rule breaker, the transgressor, the one who has rage against the gods for not being able to get what he wants in his own way. So a rule-breaking, transgressing, rage-filled energy, Ixion, follows the domino effect. One small thing spills over into a tumble of dominoes or a snowball rolling downhill, and Quoar to create a whole new system connected to homeland with Zeus, Pluto, death of a king of the home and the homeland, of the nation of a destruction of the way the system has been run since 2008, which has become very Zionistic, we'll call it that. So we'll see what happens, but it's a major turning point for the situation in the ME part of the world. Based on the sky, domino effect is in place. Now, if this is going to happen, that we see the energy of the comet appearing in the sky in the sign of Leo, it impacts Donald Trump in particular. And the reason it can impact Donald Trump, and let's not forget Typhoon, right? So Typhon for typhoon and water storms, and Venus and Scorpio, water is not an easy place to see this placement for the world. And in fact, it has already been activated. We've been seeing Venus and Typhon traveling together during the time of the Hurricane Helene, and there's another hurricane headed for the shores of the United States of America. The United States is a Sagittarius rising, and this is happening in its 12th house of self-undoing and karmic stories. So we can say, what is the karma of the United States right now, that it may be impacted by storms? Well, the gods are vengeful, right? It's not about weather has a personality, but the gods are vengeful, and 12th house is karmic self-undoing. All right, so storms are continuing in the United States that may be rather karmatic. Mars in Cancer can be associated with calamity to do with earthquakes as well. And that, to me, could also indicate with Typhoon in water and Mars in Cancer, earthquakes that can create tidal waves. And we could see that be a story over the next week as Typhon, and Venus in water, even though this is a water trine. Trines don't always work when planets are fallen or debilitated, and it still may look like a major water event, either just on its own, like a hurricane or a typhoon or a cyclone, or events connected to earthquakes that produce amazingly devastating water events. Finally, to talk lastly about the asteroid Nessus for revenge. This is water hardship, right? And we've been seeing that. We already have the port strikers. Saturn represents the working class person. A port strike, right, could be revenge. We're going to get what we want. But we also note that anything to do with water and revenge is a story that keeps showing up as Saturn and Nessus are tracking together all the time, right, through the last year. So aspects of revenge, obviously that makes sense, right? Like, Iran is going to strike back for revenge, right? To get back at you or whatever. So water means things to do with the Red Sea, the Mediterranean, water routes, trade routes, and ports and strikes around ports and revenge. And that's playing out now. If anything, you might be seeing how literal the sky is. Open enemies. Oh, and Donald Trump is in harm's way. Why is Donald Trump in harm's way? Let me count the ways. Why is Donald Trump in harm's way? Let me count the ways. Donald Trump has his ascendant right here on what is called Little Regulus. And by the way, Kamala Harris and Netanyahu have a sun in Libra 27 degrees up here. And you'll note that Pluto is squaring the sun of Netanyahu, and Pluto is squaring the sun of Kamala, and eventually Mars will make it here at the end of October into very early November, the first 3 days, and both Kamala Harris and her 27 Libra sun and Netanyahu in the end of October have Pluto opposite Mars squaring, That's meant to be here. Mars is here squaring their sun. So Mars at the end of Cancer, Pluto direct at the end of Capricorn, both of those placements squaring the sun of Kamala Harris and Netanyahu. When? The second half of October. So difficulties in the career or purpose or vitality of those two people. But Donald Trump has his ascendant at 29, Leo on Little King, fame, power, glory, riches, and rulership, and also downfall from pride and hubris. And that part of his chart may be exactly where this comet may be visible, rising into the evening sky in a very bright way. We can see it just as the sun sets, or, just after sunset. And if it is going to be close to Regulus, it's really going to hit Donald Trump. It's going to be in proximity by degree to his Regulus bound ascendant, his body, his mind. We'll have a Mars going through the sign of Leo on November the 4th, which is not easy for anybody, even when you have Mars in your first house, and he has Mars 26 degrees of Leo, and Mars enters, cuts, ends, and severs, enters the house of his physical body, and will be in that sign until January. So Donald Trump is not out of harm's way. I suspect he'll have a cardiac or health event. I don't know if it's foul play or not. Who can tell these days, And it will put him maybe into a situation where he's no longer capable of being on the ballot. Will he pass away? Maybe not. He's got a very strong chart next year, but it could be strong because he becomes a martyr. And there's the thought. All right. Let's move on to each sign. I just wanted to show you this so you understood what we were talking about, so you could see why I talk the asteroids talk, because the asteroids are in the sky and they tell the details. Libitina did produce Nasrallah's death and the funerals that followed, and he is a esteemed world leader. Now, look, one more thing I want to say here before we go to your sign. I'm sorry if I'm going long. I appreciate your patience with me. I really do. Is that I'm just going to advance the chart because I want you to see what happens when we move towards the 11th, 12th, and 13th. And we see Mercury at 23 degrees of Libra, square Pluto. And remember the things I read in the beginning, right? Dogma, control of thought, it's almost Orwellian. It's almost 1984. And I read that earlier to explain the vibe of this darker force of the square that will be emerging. Watch Mercury here. I'm going to get rid of the descendant and ascendant, descendant. That was just there from another video. We don't need that in our sky at this time. All right, let's get rid of it. Okay, so Mercury will be coming closer and closer as we go day by day through this particular week, and we get towards the weekend. Oh, I want to be on day. Sorry, guys. And we get towards the weekend around this time here. Oh, it keeps not wanting to hold the days. It's just a software glitch. It's not me. I'm not dumb. I know how to do the software. So I'm on Saturday, the 12th, and we have Mercury at 27, almost 28 degrees, and there's Pluto direct. So Saturday, Sunday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the weekend from, is it hell? Isn't it hell? Comet becomes visible. Mercury squares Pluto. Pluto's direct. The asteroids are doing their story. Venus rules Mercury square Pluto, and she's with the typhoon, the typhon. Maybe it's simply the second landfall of the new hurricane that's coming towards the United States at this time. Who knows? Who knows, guys? But we cannot see Zeus for king with Pluto without saying death of king, death of king. Who? Zeus, king of Mount Olympus, death, Pluto. Death of a king. Is it Biden? Is it Trump? Is it the end guy from the Middle East? I don't know. Something going on here to be pondered. Now it is time for your sign. You listen for your sun, moon, and rising. I explained why in the beginning. Career and purpose are solar activities. Ascendant's everything about you, including your body. The moon can be about your mind and your thought, your feelings about life, but also home and safety needs and where you live. So go for all three. That's why you can listen to each one, and then you'll know more about over time which ones seem to jive with you more. I find I get a supreme amount of value out of listening for my sun, moon, and rising. But I have sun and moon in Aries Aries, and then I have my rising in Aquarius. Okay, so let's going to roll and troll around the sky. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you're new. If you're subscribed, if you're not, check that you weren't unsubbed in the massive sub dump, because apparently I had bots or I had dormant or closed accounts, and I lost maybe about 4,000 to 5,000 subscribers during the month of September. And a lot of you had gone to check and found out you were dumped and you're not a bot. So go check. It seems like I'm getting every third month a massive scrub on my channel by YouTube by dumping subs they call bots. So you do you. Are you a bot or are you a real person? All right, let's get rolling, and we're going to do the story of your sign. Let's start with Aries, of course. And don't forget, 2025 all sign video bundle or individual signs are now on sale at the pre-sale price, and they'll deliver to your inbox with a PDF guidebook on the 17th of the month of November, just before your Thanksgiving in the United States. Check out the description box, or I'll pin the offer to the timestamps, and help my channel grow by helping me fundraise for my equipment. This is my fundraiser that I do every fall. This material never goes on YouTube. All right, let's get going and talk a little bit about your sign, sun, moon, and rising. Aries. First of all, you know, the North Node is there with Salacia. Be careful people aren't gossiping about you, or that you're doing the gossip and you're making scandals happen. Otherwise, you know, let's move into this week ahead. As I said, there's like a kind of weird ass, but not quite, misery loves company Monday through Wednesday. Venus is in a trine to Mars. You might be finding that Venus trining Mars in the beginning of the week is making you feel like you want to enjoy some of your fun. Pleasure is in the home. Mars is in the home. Venus is in the house of hidden and secret love affairs. Or you just might be wanting to really go into a sweet spot regarding, you know, some deeper introspection and relaxation and in movement towards more intimacy within your own soul. It's kind of misery loves company though, so who knows. I don't want to really focus too much on that. We do see a little bright spot on Monday, Tuesday though, with Mercury in a trine to Jupiter, and that means that you might find yourself Mercury news, good news, trines Jupiter about somebody else, your spouse, your significant other, your business partner, a good news spot from a client, trining Jupiter in the house of travel, Jupiter in the house of ideas, Jupiter in the house of educational opportunities, and a nice little glow, maybe not even for you, but some good news coming from someone you're close to. And again, that's Monday through Wednesday. But as we move forward, then we move into, yes, Jupiter will go retrograde on Thursday. Watch Sunday's video. There's a deep dive for your sign about Jupiter retrograde at, Wednesday, Thursday, Jupiter retrograde on the Wednesday, the 9th. And, you know, honestly, that story is important to you. It's going to inform the next 4 months of your life. So go listen. But most importantly, what happens is that we have Pluto's last stand. He goes into direct motion on Friday, the 11th of the month, and through to mid-November, the 19th. Indeed, you're getting the last gasp, the last gift, or the last lesson. What are you trying to learn about your sense of power and authority in the place of your public reputation and your career? You may have gone through some deep trashings of your public reputation through this cycle. I did. I had some weird guru I actually put my faith in, actually trashed me to his community, and I was the persona non grata till everyone left after me because they saw what I said was true. You might have had to come up against patriarchal father figures and authority figures while Pluto was traveling through the 10th house. The gnarly boss, the gnarly real biological father, the gnarly spiritual teacher, guru, patriarchal father, energetic men and women who wielded power like autocrats and dictators over you. And you have learned to come through that with a sense of innate power. And now this is your last lesson. In fact, I had a dream, I'm an Aries sun and moon, about that guru only recently. Now I'm realizing it was Pluto's messages to me. You may lose a last father, some older person that may have been dominant over you, or, you know, an elder patriarchal figure may pass, because Pluto and Zeus are together, the end of a king or a kingship or a dominant male figure in your life, literally or symbolically. But yet Pluto going direct wants to give you the gifts, and that can be riches. Riches is Pluto. Riches from a father figure. Who the heck knows? We have a money goddess in the inheritance house there, a typhoon of inheritance money coming at you, or spousal support or something like that. There may be also the sense as Pluto goes direct here and we approach Friday, you know, Saturday and Sunday with the square to Yes, a square from Mercury to Pluto. There may be some very, very intense narratives around communication with some significant other connected to your career. And those communications can have that darker side of Mercury and Pluto. Remember what I said in the beginning when I was reading Renn's book, Renn Butler? He said about the Mercury Pluto square. It's worth me saying it here because it's hitting you in the public reputation space, as well as your significant marriage type and business partnerships and clients, audience, and marketplace. The Pluto square with Mercury, the dark side, the difficult side, are the following themes. Mercury, Pluto, come on board. Propaganda, power struggles, desire to change people's minds, destructive gossip, rumors, and mudslinging, muckraking, intrusive reporting at all. So be cautious here. Obviously, it's not really about you in a sense because Mercury's in the house of the audience and the marketplace. But if I'm an online person, so I'm expecting some serious mudslinging directed at me, perhaps as a result of this, from what trolls probably, and we will get through it. The real lesson as an Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising is to source authentic power from within. You have been birthed, deathed, and destroyed. You've been caterpillared and snake shedding skin in the way you've expressed your career and ambition and success in this life. And I have, so I'm sure you have too, right? My career has changed dramatically on and off to different iterations since 2008. And I'll give you a very blatant example of this. So maybe you can understand it, not to take time away from you, but if you can hear my example, you might learn from it or see yourself in it. I remember when I first got into the online marketing world in 2014. Before that, I was a magazine editor at 2 different magazines, Elephant Journal and Goodman Project. But then I got into the online marketing world. And the first thing I found was everybody was telling you how to get rich quick. And they were teaching you all these marketing tools and techniques that were schmarmy, scarcity and all kinds of stuff, but also like even courses that I took, and I spent like 40 grand on those courses in 2 or 3 years. I was like literally sucked into the vortex of greed and power. And literally every one of them was like, doesn't matter if you even believe in what you're selling, as long as you can sell it. And here's how. And I fell into the trap. And then I spit out the other end of it. And I more or less got myself broke, which was pretty cool. Lose all the money because I went down a rabbit hole, and then restore myself by becoming authentically empowered because I love astrology and I care about people and I want to share information that matters. And I begin to rebuild myself in 2017. So this death and rebirth archetype is for you to consider in your career space. Where have you gone astray and where have you found your way back? And what gifts can Pluto give you at the tail end, right? As he goes direct, more power and more riches in your career because of the hard-won lesson. So look forward to the new turning point Friday. And then through to mid-November, it's his last stand. He's got some good gifts for you. And the last thing I would say to you about this sky is, Mars is in your 4th house, and he is going to be very much pressuring you as he moves into that square energy to the planets that are traveling through your 7th house to make some significant changes regarding your home and home life in connection to other people that matter to you. Contractual agreements, including rental agreements around home, can be transformed or changed in the next couple of weeks. And this energy is still playing out. You're feeling it as Mars is squaring the sun. Mars is squaring the sun. And that is going to feel like something along the lines around, the weekend, around the 12th, 13th, where you're going to find yourself wondering, well, maybe we'll say Thursday through to Sunday, Mars squares the sun and all of that. You might be finding your sun squares Mars, actually. You might be finding yourself really wondering, are you needing to make changes about your home life that may have to do with fractures of agreements you've already made, whether it's your love partner, your rental contractor agreement, something wants to change here. And later in the week, you'll be more aware of what that could be. Let's move on to the next sign. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. You have had this story going on, right? Pluto's last stand. But before we get to that in your 9th house, let's get to another story. Let's just say misery loves company. Is that the question mark? On Monday through Wednesday with a trine between Venus and Mars. Maybe this is a time of healing and repairing some stories going on in your long-term committed love relationships. And you may even plot for a romantic getaway trip with a significant other, and there's a stormy typhoon with your relationship right now, with Venus in your seventh house of long-term committed love. And maybe Mars would like to soothe the storms, kind of be a storm whisperer in Cancer, and you may do a getaway trip close to home sometime, perhaps, or plan the trip Monday through to, say, Thursday with a significant other. Whether you actually take that trip now or just plot to take that trip, that could be a real diffusing of tension in a longer term committed love for most Taurians. Now, when we move into Jupiter retrograde, Wednesday, Thursday vibe, he stations to go retrograde. There's a video I put out on Sunday, deep diving 4-month forecast for you, because this is Jupiter's turnaround and it impacts you through to February in the sign of your money and your earnings. And there's a change here. There's a retracing of steps, things that happened since July 15th to do with your finances. And so you're turning backwards to look back over the past around money, savings, earnings, and possessions. Let's see what it means. Go watch the Sunday All Signs video. Well, then we move into Pluto's last stand. Pluto goes direct on Friday, the 11th, and that is the last in a lifetime of Pluto through to November 19th. Last in a lifetime of the hard-won lessons of your ninth house. Legal, court matters, justices, things to do with book publishing, visas, passports, and international travel, things to do with foreign countries and foreign places, especially things to do with the word international, things to do with higher education. My poor Taurus daughter has been through the ringer in university, and it took her like a long time to finish because of the crazy ass death and rebirth challenges she went through during higher education. So she's a Taurus sun. So all of you Taurians have been dealing with a transformation of your beliefs as well. Your fundamental way of spiritually understanding life and the world at large, your spiritual philosophy has been under huge transformational forces. Some of you may have ditched a religion since 2008. Some of you may have kicked out a story about your attachment to a father figure. For in Indian astrology, the ninth house can represent those father figures. Now, Pluto is a god of wealth, and he's sitting with Zeus, and it can be the death of a father figure, perhaps, right? Because Jupiter rules your house of inheritances, and Jupiter is also involved in a retrogradation. It can be some money from your past, or powerful men or father figures coming into your world over the course of the next couple of weeks, or knowledge that that money is pending. Interestingly as well, this vibe up there of Pholus, the domino effect in your case, and a creation of a whole new world. One small change in your life through a literal death of somebody, they could bestow riches. It's a Lakshmi house, right? Prosperity, or courts that could bestow riches upon you, or international foreign people. They could domino your life into a new direction. Honestly, for some of you with Mars in the house of travel across the way, the ultimate story might be you're going to go traveling internationally sometime in the wake of the events that occur, okay, that dramatically transform your life over the course of what begins to emerge Friday through to next Monday, even Tuesday. You do want to remember that you have as well Mars generally here, like he's squaring the sun as we approach this time of, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And you may almost be compelled to make a massive change regarding a work situation. I mean, hopefully not quit a job, but quit a situation in work, or have a conflict with an authority figure in your work environment. Some of you may also make major health changes going on here as well. Mars likes to change it up, and he squares the sun in the house of health matters, while Uranus hits Algol yet again. I wonder around the energy as well of hidden enemies. Watch for people talking behind your back. Not that you can stop them, right? But Salacia North Node at the bending of the nodes of fate, with the moon in a square position. In the world, we're dealing with the moon in that square to the nodes of fate in the middle of the week, right? Around Wednesday, Thursday. And that can indicate a time of, well, let's go back a bit. I think the moon will actually be doing the square a little bit. Yeah, probably. I'm on Thursday. On Wednesday, just going to go back a day. Yeah, Wednesday. So Wednesday, look for some turbulent energy regarding people bad vibing you in the workplace, or trash talking you, etc. in your life, hidden enemies, difficult circumstances. Just breeze through it. Little scandal never hurt anyone, right? Never hurt anyone. So hang in there. Excuse me. We're moving on to the next sign. But one more thing. Venus is the Lord of Taurus, and she's in detriment in the house of other people. This is like the Lord of your sign can witness you across the way, Sun, Moon, and rising Taurus, but she's in rough shape and she's in stormy waters. Some of you are really challenged by the storms that your significant other is going through this week ahead. It isn't really about you, it's what they've got on their plate, or legal matters that are tempestuous and stormy and really hitting you in a difficult way if you have any contractual legal agreements. But also, your partner might be going through a hot mess of a time, and it's not even at all remotely about you. So keep that in mind as well. How can you stand solid in the face of the emotional storms a significant other goes through in this week ahead, Taurus? Okay, let's continue with the narrative of the sky for each sign. I just took a little food break there. Yes, you didn't even notice I was gone because I was starving on my AIP protocol diet, autoimmune protocol diet. I don't eat eggs, I don't eat nuts, I don't eat potatoes, I don't eat like nightshades, but also I don't have any arthritis anymore. Gone from my knee and shoulder. So try it out, guys. Autoimmune protocol diet. Just saying, it works. All right, so here we have it. We're moving into the sign of Gemini. I have a progressed sun here. Listen, your progressed placements, progressed sun, progressed ascendants, they do matter, but they don't matter over your natal position. So always go for your natal position first, and then listen for your, progressed placements if you know them. All right, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. First of all, there's a bit of a kind of misery loves company love affair going on between Venus and Mars, and that's happening Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they're in a flowing trine relationship to each other. Now, Mars is here in your second house of speech and food and earnings, and Venus is in the house of health and work. There may be a nice little glow up in the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in your finances connected to work matters, or a nice little soft landing kind of vibe regarding letting go of addictive substances, but it's misery here. You're doing it, but you're not a happy camper, that kind of thing. I quit the wine for October. I'm doing sober October. It's not been easy. In fact, I'm half-assing it. So you might find as well that this kind of vibe is really good for settling into the misery of your commitment to not having alcohol. For example, right? Just an example. But anyway, changes that are somewhat positive with work and money and career matters have been underway with Saturn in the 10th house, Venus in the 6th, and Mars in the 2nd. Is still playing out early this week. Then we notice that Jupiter retrogrades on the 9th, which is Wednesday. That's a real big story for you. Lasts through to next February. And that's your own personal luck and good charm and horseshoe that you've been carrying around since May 26th when he entered into your first house. He is there until next June. But the retrograde is where you retrench and deepen your bounty, and go watch my Sunday video for your sign so you know what the next 4 months is about for you. Next, we want to move into Pluto's last stand. He's going to finally be done with you after all of these 16 years in your 8th house of chunky money. This is money that you don't partake in because it's your paycheck. It could be an inheritance, a share in a stock, and an investment. It could be shared money with your spouse, including spousal support and revenues from shared assets with a spouse. It could be money that comes from business partners or royalty income from a book publishing deal. J.K. Rowling has a stellium in her 8th house, and she's rich as F. That's why you need to use whole sign houses. You wouldn't see her 8th house stellium otherwise. Now, this energy has taught you about death, because the 8th house is the house of death. And all you Geminis have learned lessons around the real death of people you know, and including money through inheritances and death, since 2008. With this energy finally completing itself, you may also have learned about your own karma. The 8th house is the most karmatic house and represents the debts of karma, as well as debts to other people, the mortgage company, the bank, etc. Now, it is over. And what lessons have you learned? Because Pluto is direct Friday and through to mid-November on the 19th. The gifts of the journey have been The journey's been tough, and you're getting hopefully some divine gifts from Pluto. You may get a sudden bit of money coming out of nowhere. Who knows where it could come from? We eventually see a Mars opposition to Pluto near the end of October, and quite possibly some of this last stand involves a major shift, if not, like one with massive gravity around money that you work for versus money that you just possess, like an inheritance, like a lottery win, etc. It's funny to see that Mercury in the sky is also flowing to Jupiter, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He's the good news guy. And there's some good news you might have around money luck coming through your story, even winning money as a result of what Mercury's up to in the beginning of the week. A possibility to consider, right? A thought is this could happen. We still have the sun in Libra all the way through to the third week of October. So winning money isn't outside the ballpark for some of you. Now, with the energy of the sky, you might want to look at the intensity around Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with Mercury also squaring Pluto as he's going direct. Mercury will be at the tail end of the house of money luck, squaring Pluto in the house of shared resources. I mean, you can make so many stories up here. There's an intensity around finances and money you share, and money with your children, money with a lover, money that you could get through luck or inheritances, and there's just a bit of attention. Money in Libra is from one-on-one relationships. Sun is father figures, male money stories. I don't know. You tell me. Jupiter is your lucky charm, but he is retrograde, and he does rule the house of marriage. So there may be some money through your marriage partnerships and some issues of conflict regarding children and finances as well, Friday through to Sunday. The big arc of the story, though, as Pluto is finishing up his narrative, is he wants to give you a gift. He wants to give you something for all the hard work. So eighth house money is money that you acquire because it comes to you in ways that are shared with another person. Why a lottery win? Because it's shared by the government. Early in the week, by the way, going back to the idea of the moon around the 9th being squared, that's Wednesday, squaring the nodes of fate from the sign of Capricorn with Pholus, a domino effect is here. A domino effect in your finances is trying to show up. Like one small thing changes everything. Look for one small thing, like a butterfly wing that changes, like the chaos thing, everything about your money story, starting around the 9th of October. Again, you could buy the lottery ticket, win the jackpot at the casino, find out you're going to receive a chunky inheritance from a father figure, and everything is going to change. Now, not everyone's going to have that. This is general bell curve astrology. You might have a secret revealed about a child that's liberating and empowering. You might find out something about your partner that is surprising you because it's, the house of secrets, and it's connected to the first 7 of the marriage. And this big surprise may be quite intense, but it could also be very empowering for you. All of this is true Friday through to Sunday. And you're stuck up there with Saturn in your 10th house of career and working hard and mastering your discipline and feeling like a top dog authority is a good thing, but you also are tired. There may be some financial breakthroughs that shift you towards more abundance here, but through a catalytic and intense circumstances, for no doubt about it. Any money coming your way, karmic windfalls, is Uranus on Algol and a wealth star in the house of past lives. Any money that does come through for some of you, Gemini rising, most accurately Sun and Moon secondarily, is a karmic past life treasure chest recovered in this lifetime. All right, moving on to the next sign. Oh, yeah, and watch for friends gossiping about you. Salacious gossip from friends. Uh-oh. That's just a thing happening this week with North Node and Salacia connected in the sky at this time. So yeah, they're just the gossips, One more thing, Hestia, the hearth and home flame, is anchored in the house of children, entrepreneurship, and creativity. And just a note that this is a week ahead with the Hestia Sun South Node thing. You're really trying to anchor some creative projects in the home, or anchor your connection to your children, like have them come to dinner or connect to the hearth flame. That's a story that runs through the entirety of the week ahead for all the Gemini rising, especially Sun and Moon secondarily. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign, the sky is opening up a narrative this week where let's go through all of the things in chronological order. Well, what about Mars and Venus in a sexy love up called a trine? Brings love and opportunity and good things, but they're in detriment. Maybe there's a little bit of a typhoon, even a storm with a child. This is a house of your children. And it's in now a kind of let's fix it, misery loves company restoration. You are Mars. You are the mother bear. You're the fierce protector of home and homeland. You're the one who's got high running emotions regarding children and the storms with the child. And you're trying to smooth out that thing. It is a bit misery loves company. No one's really happy about it. But also, if it's a romantic sexual love affair, you're trying to smooth the waters there as well. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then on Wednesday, Jupiter will retrograde at 21 degrees of Gemini. Gemini happens to be a story that is taking place in your self-undoing, addictions, bad habits, patterns, and connections to revenue generated from borderless income and far-off lands. And this narrative is a retrogradation to deepen your bounty or deepen your commitment or deepen something. And it starts on Wednesday and it lasts until next February. And therefore, to find out more about it, watch Sunday's All Signs Deep Dive video that came out the day before this video. What the real story is Pluto's last stand. What are you going to do when Pluto goes direct? Because it's the last time in your life that you're going to get the rewards of the hard-won lessons of your 7th house. You may have gone through deaths of marriages, rebirths of marriages, deaths of spouses, deaths of significant relationships ending in your life. You may have also experienced the encounter with powerful, dominant, controlling other people. Not from your career space, that was a story for the Aries people, but rather in your one-on-one relationships, getting involved with narcissists, controllers, and dominators, and toxic love stories. Now, this is coming to a completion. It started in 2008. You're at the tail end of the Dark Fathers and the House of Significant Marriage type partnerships. And when Pluto goes out of this place in your sky in November on the 19th, you're done. You're wiping your hands clean of this stuff. It can be the death of a spouse. I'm not saying that for every single Cancer rising, a spouse is going to die. That's dumb, right? But we have a figure called Zeus, the king of the Olympian mountains, with Pluto, the god of death, in the house of significant others. So if there's some kind of like king-like dominating force in your life, a powerful male in particular, this may be the end of that relationship. That's for sure. I kind of feel like your transformation here has been also about the shadow. The 7th house is the other people out picturing what you don't see about yourself, and your own shadow work around power and empowerment and who you really want to be in terms of a powerful force of selfhood have been a lesson of those mirrored relationships with controlling people. And now you're going to come into the final aha, whatever that might be. Now, there's been a tempestuous energy of storms, right? Typhoon in the house of intimacy sexually, and Pluto going into this last turnaround. There may be some big turnaround stories, especially as Venus gets into the end of the sign of Scorpio. Some major turnaround stories to do with sexuality, intimacy, romantic love. And the darker sides of that you've been learning some lessons, and now you're going to turn it around and see the positive story as basically, as you get towards October 17th, Venus will really flow into a conversation with Pluto October 14th, 15th. We're not quite there yet. That's next week, but you're priming the pump this week for that narrative. And, the energy of the Mercury trine Jupiter on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Mercury kind of wants Jupiter to deliver something positive from your 12th house. And because it's the 4th house, some really good news may be coming your way early in the week to do with home matters and things to do with prosperity, especially if home and prosperity entangle with secret backroom deals and negotiations. Like I'm privately selling my house above market value to somebody else. South Node, hearth flame, Hestia, let go of the hearth, let go of the home. Is it time to release a home? And some of those stories look positively inclined for you, Mercury, especially on Lucky Star Spica during the first 3 days of this week. Mercury will square Pluto Friday through Sunday. And that's a difficult energy, even as Pluto goes direct. Majorly difficult conversations around balance, fairness, equity, equability, equal share, to do with property, homeland, and real estate, and a buyer, a seller, a significant other, a legal contract or agreement, to do with home, real estate, property, and other people showing up in a gritty way Friday through Sunday. The ultimate story, though, is Pluto wants you to have a last ditch reward. And maybe that conversation with Mercury that sets his story off is you want to have a commercial, mercantile, marketing, and selling opportunity to sell a home or to buy a home. And you're really looking squarely at what that might look like for you. Some of you could get some lucky wealth breaks from an elder sibling showing up by the end of this week or into early next week as well. If the sibling is one older than you, that is particularly true. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Where's the chocolate when I need it? I need to go AIP breakage and get some chocolate. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Holy man, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's move on. You want to start the week by knowing misery loves company, and Venus is trining Mars, and we don't know what that's going to do, except it's not as optimal as it would be and could be and should be. But you may be looking at some stories to do with your pleasures in the home and your secret backroom deals and negotiations, or things you're doing in your solitude that are pleasurable at the hearth and home level of your life. But there's some tempestuous storms in your home life right now. There's something not as even keeled as you'd like it. The boat is rocking in the home, but you're trying to smooth it out Monday through Wednesday. On Wednesday, Pluto will go retrograde for 4 months. Find out what that means for you in my deep dive video that came out Sunday for your sign. But it's a retrogradation regarding career gains, and you may be slowing down or rethinking the way you are bounteous and plentiful in your career gains. You may also slow down or move away from some prosperity connected to a sibling one older than you, or from a slowing down and redeepening some friendships and rethinking them. Certainly a Jupiter retrograde brings friends from the past back to your life, but go follow the video that I created for you on Sunday. You know, the big story is Pluto's last stand, as Pluto will go direct. Yay, Pluto will go direct. And you'll be done with this story that you've been working through since 2008 about your health. Your health is your sixth house, your sickness. How are your knees? How are your ligaments? How are those bony structures with that Capricorn sixth house been bothering you? Ligaments, tendons, bony structures, knees, Capricorn. But also, where have you been learning some lessons around service and servicing debt? Have you been working too hard? Have you been a slave or a servant to everyone but yourself? Have you also been learning lessons about pets and loss of pets, the death of animals in your life? Your domestic servants are your pets, and you may have had to learn some deep and profound stories for your soul about the loss of pets during this last 16 years. And as well, there's the sense of property when it comes to rental, whether you're the landlord or the tenant, that have been deeply teaching you things, right? Teaching you things since 2008. Now, honestly, I'm not going to say a pet can't die again, right? And Pluto's with Zeus, and he's a leader, or maybe an old pet could pass. Yes, an old pet could pass between October the 9th, when Pluto, 11th, when Pluto goes direct, through to November 19th for the final lesson. It's all about empowerment, right? You're trying to power up. And certainly Pluto is trining your 10th house of career during all of this. So you're really learning some, and trining your second house. It's Artha lessons. You're learning lessons about money and wealth and resources. And so this is a last lesson plan here. Certainly, I mean, we pay off debts here, credit card debts, karmic debts. We do service to pay debt down. And if there's a need to pay off a last debt, you may have the means by which you can pay down and pay off a debt of some sort, especially with the sextile to Neptune in the house of debts, credit card debt, bank loans, mortgages. And you may be coming into the trine and Pluto's last stand, October the 11th to November 19th, of an ability to pay off and down a debt. Some of you maybe through property and real estate transactions. Now, It's a little bit tough and it's a little bit good. I don't mind the beginning, of course, on around Monday, Tuesday, when Jupiter and Mercury are having a really nice conversation that can bring you some financial luck in your career, or good money news stories connected to a sibling one older, or things to do with some positive karmic rewards that feel like windfalls connected to siblings or connected to travel opportunities Monday through Wednesday. So we have a feel good beginning, right? But then, hey, starting Friday, you'll feel that Mercury square Pluto through to Sunday. Mercury is going to be at the tail end of Libra, and he is in a very gnarly conversation with Pluto. It can be a real crucible regarding a younger sibling and news about their health. It could be a real crucible about, travel or local or shorter distance travel and power and obligation structures in your work. It can be some difficult news regarding neighbors and neighborhood, pets and pet stories. I'm making it all up. South Node, you want to lose a contract, end an agreement, hearth and home, and neighbor and neighborhood, but maybe not be about you, because a sibling one younger than you belongs to that third house, and they may be having some difficult stories in their life, and maybe they're getting ready to ditch a neighborhood or relocate or move their home and hearth. But it's also connected to you and deep stories of service and servitude to other people, whether it's that neighbor, the younger sibling, and you want to break a pattern. You want to find your inner king of Mount Olympus. That domino effect of Pholus is very active, with the moon squaring the bending of the nodes of fate on Wednesday, Thursday. Look for things that are especially going on Wednesday that you might find massive turning points, like small things cascade into big things starting on Wednesday that connect to matters to do with travel or siblings or neighbors and neighborhood. Look for a bit of a domino turning point here around the middle of the week. Virgo, sun, moon, and especially rising sign the week ahead. It's a mixed bag. We have Pluto's last stand. That's the big highlight. But we start off with a kind of mixture of misery loves company, Mars trines Venus. Venus is sitting in your third house and Mars is traveling through your 11th. There is situations with a sibling, one younger, one older, or there's situations with career gains and local neighborhood. There's situations with travel and groups of friends or social events and friends. That seems to be dominating that sky. You're really feeling it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Does misery love company? Maybe you're having mitigated enjoyment of your work, some downdraft in your passion for your work, or maybe some situations around your local neighborhood and friendship stories that just have a kind of droopy feel, an emotional feel. They're okay, but they're not great. Mercury will trine Jupiter Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. That's not too shabby. Mercury would say to Jupiter something like Monday and Tuesday, hey, do we have some good news around money and work? Let's deliver it to this Virgo person. A nice uplift around money and work stories. Yay, you! Coming through your sky early in the week, and maybe a new job, maybe a promotion, maybe a performance review on steroids, some good stories up there in the beginning of the week. Jupiter does turn retrograde on the 9th, which is Wednesday, and this is going to give you a 4-month narrative of deepening your bounty in your 10th house of career. You may kind of have to go back over old ground that you've been traveling through time-wise since July 15th in order to establish a deeper foundation or a stronger foundation for how you want that career, reputation, status, social standing to increase. But of course, it's retrograde. So, career people from the past come back, or things like that. You want to watch my Sunday video that came out for your sign, so I don't repeat myself here. Now, the big story is Pluto's last stand. Pluto is going to go direct. Now, it's a last in a lifetime between Friday the 11th and November 19th, as Pluto gives you the final lessons and rewards of his journey through your Capricorn 5th house. I haven't met a Virgo, especially rising, who hasn't gone through toxic love stories. Very toxic love stories, I'm sorry to say, as well as miscarriages and abortions, as Pluto has gone through the 5th house. The powerful, toxic, abusive, controlling, dark side of love is something you've been learning since 2008, and you are done. As well as challenges with your own children. and their own deep dive into the underworld. And your attempts may be to rescue them. And that story is also ending. But as Pluto finishes in the fifth house, he's also in the house of your artistic and creative endeavors, as well as your entrepreneurial independent business enterprise. And he's also teaching you the last lesson here. It hasn't always been easy. However, he wants to give you something good. So he's going to go forward and hopefully deliver something positive here between now and Friday and mid third week of November, where you could have a powerful amount of riches come to you. North Node's in the house of chunky money. Fifth house is money gains and good fortune. You may win some money. You may get some inheritance money that sort of disposes you toward something positive in the months that follow. Well, in the weeks that follow the station turnaround. When Pluto goes direct, if there's any unresolved issues around fertility, pregnancy, children, conception, these are turning around. You will resolve your situation regarding that. If you had a miscarriage or an abortion and you're of the age of childbearing female, you could become pregnant in the weeks that follow this turnaround. Be careful if that's not what you want, because Pluto will bring somebody from the past who's connected to your family of origin into incarnation through you. So just keep that in mind. That would be a pregnancy window, Pluto's last story. A domino effect, a Pholus effect is playing out here during the middle of the week. And that could mean just one time you just didn't use birth control, or one time a reckless abandon, and you can get knocked up. Okay, so keep it in mind. And is it the most likely thing? No. But is it possible? Yes. Now, one thing I'd say about this is that if there's anything to say about the square from Mercury, here's what it is. Mercury will square from the 29th degree of Libra, Friday, Saturday, into Sunday, will square Pluto. And that's going to be things to do with money and resources and possessions and children and romantic partners and entrepreneurial endeavors. And because we also have the South Node and Hestia and the contractual agreements of Libra here, there may be some harsh conversations about what you wish to agree to or break agreements on with those children, with those love relationship people. And you're just going to fracture or break, if you want, those agreements in a very bold and aggressive way, difficult but turning point energies Friday through Sunday. Mercury's your ruler. You can trust him. If you're going to fracture agreements with children, for example, this is exactly what is needed. However, there is the house of good fortune, and it does involve speculation, including gambling and winning money. And Mercury is a game of chance guy in Libra. So maybe some of you could have an intensity around financial matters that are both intense, but also positive around Friday through Sunday. You have the wealth star Algol being activated at the top of the sky here by Uranus on Algol in the house of father figures. Maybe some inheritance money from father figures can cascade through the story of this weekend ahead, just for a very few of you. Obviously, not everybody will have this kind of narrative. But Pluto is on Zeus, the king of Mount Olympus, in the sign of the father and father figure. And there is a trine to the wealth star, Uranus, in the house of the father in ancient India. So money, luck coming through father figures, whether it involves death or not, just it could be money, luck through father figures on Friday through to Sunday. Moving on to our next sign. Hey, Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Wowzer. What a week. What a week. Game changing. First of all, we have that kind of misery loves company, Venus trine Mars. What are you going to do? Venus is not in her best shape, nor is Mars. They're trying to figure out how to be good in bad places. And so you might have some positive developments coming through the sky where they're traveling, which is your 10th house of career, where Mars is traveling and Venus is moving through your money house. It's kind of like you asked for a raise and you got a small one. It's kind of like you wanted to make a change of your position and you got a half-assed yes. Something is good happening in career, money, and resources, but it's not as great as you would like. And it feels like it's a little emotionally fraught. And again, that is Monday, Tuesday. Yet Mercury on Monday and Tuesday Tuesday is also in a flowing trine to Jupiter. On a side note, good things are happening regarding international travel, visas, passports, book publishing, and good news around academics and legal matters as well, all coming through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. However, Jupiter retrogrades on Wednesday, and it's a 4-month story all the way through to February, where he's going back over old ground to deepen your bounty and intensify the success of your ninth house. For anyone involved in publications, podcasting, book publishing, foreign land travel, and legal matters or academic settings, or teaching like a professor, you're going to find that things are going to get stronger, but it takes 4 months for the strengthening to happen. So go watch my Sunday video where I dive into how Jupiter retrograde here for your sign may impact you in the months ahead. Hey, guess what? Pluto is going to do his last stand as he goes direct on Friday the 11th, and that's going to take until November 19th to tell you the full Monty. But the first bits of the story are here in this week ahead. Pluto's been teaching you hard-ass lessons about your family of origin, your mother, your childhood, and the traumas of childhood. Pluto's been teaching you stories about legacy wealth and inheritance. And you guys, of all people, with the station direct and Uranus with the Algol star in your 8th house, are likely to find, not everybody, that you're going to get some money that comes from your family of origin. It can even involve grandparents. It doesn't matter who. Somebody up the line, and financial abundance may shock you and surprise you in this end of the week. But also Pluto's other lessons are much more soulful. It's a moksha house. It's spiritual awakening, but it's how you move yourself away from your family of origin, morals, values, traditions, culture, and religions. However you grew up, this Pluto story has been trying to destroy these things for you. Die and be born again. Shed the skin of the old. You don't have to be clutching on to your past pearls of my family always said we had to go to church every Sunday, or I was told that money is the root of all evil. Whatever stories you were told as a child, you've been demolishing them with Pluto, and this is your last chance to finish it. Pluto here can really power you up around property, land, home, real estate, mortgages. Money connected to property and mortgages and finance is going to be a good thing for you as Pluto goes direct here. Some of you may endeavor to sell or buy a home. Pluto moving direct finally comes into a little bit of a crisis point. The domino effect on Wednesday with the moon on Pholus means that there's one small thing connected to mom, dad, family of origin, things to do with home and family that square the nodes of fate. Massive life turning points connected to the family of origin matters begin to emerge, and it's relevant to your significant others and your own identity. Yet, when Pluto squares Mercury and Mercury squares Pluto, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Mercury is at the tail end of your house of you. You are the one with the speech, the ideas, and the mind. It's happening in you. And you also already know there's things you need to let go of, including things to do with your home and hearth at childhood or even now. Some of you are pondering changing your home. And as this is all going on within you, Mercury on Friday, Saturday, Sunday has a tussle with Pluto. You're making some bold ideas or statements or communications, emails, phone calls, and text messages regarding matters to do with your home. Saturn is in the house of rental properties. He is in a sextile to the 4th house. Some of you may be making major changes of home regarding renting a property or being able to lease a property, being a landlord or a leasee. Either one are very true. But it's intense energy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you've got the handle on it. You're Mercury, you've got this. And contracts, agreements around property and property matters and turning point events that require intense action and decisions look very prominent for you guys in this weekend ahead. All right. Finally, you can have an idea that can cultivate great wealth in your life, but it's some kind of idea that's stemming from the family of origin, the roots of your family, and especially the mother's line. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, we have a sky that's a mixed bag. We have Pluto's last stand, Jupiter retrograde. Let's start with the beginning. Venus trines Mars. Okay, great. We like that, except they're in bad shape. Both planets are in detriment. But nonetheless, Misery does love company. So Mars is in your ninth house and Venus is in the house of you, and you've got some tempestuous storms, right? There's a typhoon in that sky. You might be feeling very emotional here. Your value system might be tossed and turned. Your sense of your own likability and your persuadability is in a tempestuous storm. Monday, Tuesday, a typhoon Venus energy. Trining Mars is trying to help, right? Because she's in his kingdom. And he's also in the Pisces pond trying to swim on his floaty toy. So he's like, okay, you got some storms of identity here, and you're not feeling so great about your appearance, how you look, how you feel about your likability, and you're not really feeling like some of your values might be a little bit turbulent, like you're not feeling what you desire is what you really want. And Mars is like, oh, Monday, Tuesday, can I help? Let's lean into some spiritual faith. Let's pray to God. Let's find our anchor in the house of the traditions of religion. Let's anchor ourselves in something greater than ourselves, basically. Or you could have some turbulence around book publishing, travel, international visas. And my Scorpio rising sun is trying to get his visa renewed, but he lost his citizenship certificate. Born in America, made in Canada. You know what I mean? So that's probably him going through that kind of good but not great Monday, Tuesday, where he gets some kind of promise that, yeah, they'll finally get that thing to him in the next century to redo his citizenship certificate Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's just a practical example. Now, moving into the next story, Jupiter retrogrades on Wednesday and he goes backwards for 4 months. And so you need to go back and deepen your bounty in your eighth house of chunky money. Not going to lie, it's an inheritance house. There's very few of you who aren't going to have some kind of bequeathment of some sort coming through that eighth house by next June. It can be small things like shared resources, spousal support, that kind of stuff. It can be massive things like inheritances with Pluto moving into Aquarius, especially in November, big legacy wealth stories may show up November through to next June. In the meantime, this is the week that that the lessons you've been learning in the third house are completing. Lessons to do with your intellect, your mind, your writing abilities, your entrepreneurial, your online world stuff. Third house stories to do with your daily routines and the life you're living on the daily. But it is also the house of the younger sibling, the house of aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, the house of the neighbors and the neighborhood. These have been deeply transformative places for you as Pluto's been plying the earth and tilling the soil of your Capricorn third house. Education. Think back to 2008. What changes did you make in your educational direction? For some of you, you may have ended and begun new kinds of stories around what you wish to learn, what you wish to study. My son went into sound engineering during this Pluto transit instead of going off to university. So think about it that way. Death and rebirth experiences connected to elementary school and high school are possible or have been possible as Pluto transited through your third house. Even death experiences to do with injuries connected to moving vehicles. A lot of you have been learning a lot about this story. My son was hit by a car in his last year of high school during this story. So these things can be very literal and that's when he was knifed at a party, local neighborhood, in the last year of high school. So I'm just giving you examples. You've been learning like death stories in the third house, death of cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, younger siblings, yada, yada. It's all over, right? Or siblings in general. You're done, you're done, you're done, you're done. What have you learned? Because Pluto sextiles you and he wants you to learn this so he can help you as he's been journeying through that third house, teaching you empowerment lessons. As he goes direct on Friday, and this is a story that he wants to complete by November 19th, he starts his direct motion in a square to Mercury. And this is in the house of addictions and self-undoing. What ways are you your own worst enemy? Pluto doesn't want that for you anymore, and he's going to help you turn it around. And it's also a house connected to deep, deep past life content. So you're breaking karmic chains from past lives as Pluto moves direct. He's on Mount Olympus with Jupiter, the death of a king connected to past lives. Could be a part of the story. It means likely a father figure could pass for some of you, not every one of you, but Mars is in the house of father figures. In Vedic astrology will oppose Pluto. Some of you may experience the death of a father figure as a result of Pluto's last stand between October 11th and, of course, November 19th. And if that's going to happen, it's probably before around November 4th. We still want to see Mars in the ninth house. And you could come through with a major transformational dream. I mean, Pluto is power in the underworld and what is hidden. And Mercury's in the house of your sleeping dreams, and that he's a dream messenger. The 12th house and the ninth can involve dreams. So pay attention to your nighttime nocturnal dreams as this station direct happens. You may get some amazing stories through your dream life on Friday through to Sunday. Okay. Like any other stories for you? Algol, the Wealth Star. If you are doing creative projects in the back room, deals in a hidden isolation of your home, and the social media is Pluto, a viral social media hit can happen for some of you Scorpios if that's the milieu in which you operate. And you would see that breaking through probably on the weekend. Oh, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Well, it is a story for you. What a week we have. Mixed bag, Pluto's last stand, Jupiter retrograde, and the beginning is misery loves company. Monday and Tuesday, misery loves company because Venus is in Scorpio, her detriment. And we unfortunately see Mars in his fall in Cancer. This is your 8th house Mars transit, moving into a talking conversation with a detriment Venus in her exile in your 12th house with a tempestuous storm of Typhoon, the asteroid. Well, you're having some issues here to do with pleasures and addictions, okay, or secret love affairs. All of that, love affairs, secret love affairs, pleasures and addictions, and all of that are really on the radar for you Monday and Tuesday. And you may be trying to mitigate or temper those challenges. You also might be going through some kind of financial issue connected to people in far off foreign shores and places. And that's also a bit stormy for you Monday and Tuesday. However, I just lit some Sao Paulo incense, Sao Paulo, how you say it, because I'm trying my best to get through my video. And so if you see smoke in front of my face, I'm not smoking a cigarette. Let's move that a little bit further away. All right. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday still, Monday, Tuesday, Mercury brings you some good news as he trines Jupiter. And, Mercury always wants to bring good news, and Jupiter helps bolster that. But of course, Jupiter's out of dignity too. Some good news is coming through your sky connected probably to friendships, probably to somebody in your friendship circle has good news, or your elder sibling. And Jupiter in your 7th is about your audience marketplace for your career, or it's about your significant other. So good news, good stories with your marriage partner, your main squeeze if you have one, with regards to social events and opportunities to socialize with friends. Good news coming from your friends or the sibling one older than you on Monday, Tuesday. But as we move into Wednesday, he's retrograde Jupiter, and he's going to deepen your bounty as it applies to your marriage partnerships, your business partnerships, and the way you approach your audience and marketplace. And you're going to go back, Jupiter, to deepen it. However, Jupiter also can end relationships, or endings happen in your marriage relationship stories in his retrogradation. All bets are off. Also, former long-term committed love story partners may emerge out of the woodwork and be in touch with you during the Jupiter retrograde cycle of 4 months. Please listen to my Sunday video. I dive into how this 4 months transit may impact you. And it's rare. It happens only once every 12 years. On Friday this week on the 11th, Pluto will station direct and move into a time through to November 19th in which he's giving you his last stand in the money house. How have you as a Sagittarius been learning profound lessons to do with financial matters, resources, food, shelter, water, money, things that keep you alive? The 2nd house is going to move into the 1st. It feeds you. So your food style and your face also under death and rebirth, major transformation. Some of you might have done some cosmetic procedures. Some of you may have got veneers. Some of you may have changed your food styles dramatically since 2008. Some of you may as well been really struggling through massive losses in your finances, but also gains. Pluto brings both the downs and the ups of the wealth story. People born with Pluto in the 2nd house will have a lot of money, then no money, then a lot of money. They're playing with self-worth and value through financial means and resources and possessions. Okay. So now this story is completing, and Pluto's going to give you one last stand gift. And it may be money because he is the god of riches. He's also traveling with Zeus, the god of Mount Olympus. And there's a Pholus or domino effect around Wednesday when the moon will be in a square to the nodes of fate. It involves money, luck. It can involve that. It involves, because it's squaring the north node in the fifth house of winning money. It's also connected to money that can come through siblings, a couple younger than you or one older. It also connects to money and children, turning point, domino effect energy on Wednesday. But then we go into the weekend, Pluto is going to square Mercury. Pluto square Mercury can be a very intense moment. You might be coming up against a very intense confrontation regarding financial matters and a friend, financial matters and your career gains, financial matters and the sibling one older than you. And there is a sextile energetically to your fourth house where Saturn says legacy wealth. Mars is in the house of inheritances. You may have to dispute an inheritance. You may have to confront an elder sibling. You may have to confront a friend about money matters as well. Now, look, at the end of the day, the friend may be confronting you. There's a verbal intensity. Look for emails, phone calls, and text messages. Mercury connected to financial matters. It could be career related, could be sibling related, could be inheritance related. I mean, retrograde Saturn through to November 15th, 14th could be about money from the past, through inheritances from the past, and a retrenching towards it because maybe there was something unfinished there. Maybe there's more to be discovered or delivered to you. Pluto going direct can bring you a new job, especially with Algol, the wealth star, and Uranus, a shocking, surprising opportunity for work that you didn't expect. Maybe you don't think you're going to have any money from work. Maybe work's not on your agenda, but Mercury rules your 10th house of career. He's got the square going on the weekend, and we do have Algol star being reactivated this weekend through to next week. Surprises around money matters could shock you and delay you, connected to work and career opportunities in the sky. Let me know how Pluto's last stand works for you over the next, till November the 11th. I'd love to hear back about what you have learned in the past and what you will be learning in the future. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. So the week starts off mixed bag, right? Some good news for Mercury, and that's around Monday, Tuesday. Good news in your career space, 10th house Mercury, as well as Jupiter in the house of work and employment and jobs. So good job, career space news coming up Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. Can't go wrong. Might be some good news that also connects to a change of job and a change of home. North node in the fourth house, Hestia in the 10th. But that's coming for you. And then we also can notice that we have a kind of misery loves company, Venus, Mars trine. Well, Venus is in the 11th house of your great gains from your career, and she's in a tempestuous storm, but it's also the house of the sibling older than you, one older, the house of allies and benefactors. People want to help you. It's also the house of your own wishes and dreams. And there's a bit of a Venus in her values and what she desires is with a typhoon of, storm-like energy and a very emotional space flowing to Mars on Monday and Tuesday in the house of marriage, contracts, and legal agreements and business partnerships. Some tempestuous storms of good but not great. Mars wants Venus to do well. She's in his home, but he's in a place of a floaty toy in a Cancer pond. He's not his best self. This may be involving a business partnership or an alliance, an opportunity in your career. Again, of the Jupiter, remember, the good news is there, but there's some costs, maybe separation, maybe change of home, separation from significant relationships because of this. We'll see what happens. Maybe Mars is also saying you need some separation from a significant other. And there's a tempestuous storm around what you really desire or what you don't desire here. Let's face it, North Node wants you to expand or change your home and often represents a change of home. And we'll be here, by the way, through till January. And you're wounded in the home, but I've covered that many times before. Jupiter goes retrograde on Wednesday, the 9th. Get ready because it's a 4-month story of deepening your bounty in a way we haven't seen for 12 years. So watch my Sunday video. I deep dive into it for you. I really spend a lot of time per sign. But Jupiter retrograde here at 21 degrees of Gemini is an indication you want to make some deepening changes in work, health, pet situations and rental situations. Now, Jupiter will retrograde for 4 months, and so it's not a one-day story. Go watch the video I produced for you already. On Friday, Pluto goes direct. He will do this at 11, Friday the 11th, and he will do this direct motion at 29 Capricorn. Now, let's go back to the big story. If you're a Capricorn rising, especially, okay, Sun rising is about your body, your health, and your whole life. Sun, it's about your career, purpose, and father figures. And Moon is about mother figures and your nest and your safety and your home. Look, if you're Capricorn, you've experienced a lot of death of people you know since 2008, you know? And that's the story. You've lived through the death of people. You may have also almost died yourself if it was your rising sign, or maybe your moon, but you've come out the other end and you're here to tell the tale. You've been learning about authentic power, for you to express it without domination and control, for you to express power intrinsically, not extrinsically. You are powerful because you are, not because of what you say, do, or command others to do. And therefore, this power, authentic riches, authentic inner wealth has been your lesson. And here we go. We are moving on. We are leaving the story behind. And as he leaves, well, he sits with the king of Mount Olympus. You are the king of Mount Olympus. You are the queen of Mount Olympus. You're on your throne as you leave the story behind. Yet there are some final lessons. Now, first of all, when he stations to go direct, he happens to end up in a square to Mercury, which is a very intense energy. And it comes from your 10th house of reputation, social standing, and career. Mercury is connected to the goddess of committed business and marriage partnerships, as well as the hearth and home and letting go. You may have some situations coming up through phone calls, text messages, and emails. Mercury always delivers those things from people in positions of authority, people connected to your career, maybe people connected to career matters from your past because of the retrograde turnaround coming into the now. Maybe you're going to get a connection, but you have to make decisions and have to take action because all squares are the nature of Mars. And that's about what decision will you make. And there's a critical decision-making point Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to connect to work and career and ascendancy. The sun is up there, and contractual commitments and agreements. But with, Mars across the way, the ultimate story as we approach the, mid to end of October is going to be maybe these powerful stories that want to emerge with you all in your power seat. It could end relationships or separate you from a significant other, right? Time off, time out, time away. Maybe just because opportunity requires a move or travel. With Algol well star in the 5th house, you could win some money. Still could do it. It's Algol Uranus coming up around anywhere between the 11th to the 16th, 17th of the month, and so surprising opportunities for financial gain through winning money. It's not outside the bounds of possibility as Pluto trines the god of riches, Algol, in your 5th house. This is ruled by Venus in the tempestuous storms of your 11th, but it's still a possibility. Okay, a typhoon of wealth could emerge in the story for you. When would that likely happen? Anytime between October 11th and November the 19th. Well, we still have Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. All right, some stories I hope that are entertaining. And don't forget, with Saturn in a broad sextile to Pluto, as Saturn travels through your 3rd house, some of these wealth ups or deep riches or inner wealth stories could also involve travel. And so look for travel opportunities that increase your wealth as well. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, I am one of you. I have a rising here. Let's talk about the beginning of the week before we get to Pluto's last stand. The kind of not great, but okay. Venus trine Mars is not too shabby. Venus is moving through your 10th house of career with the tempestuous storms of typhoon. She's still a goddess of of fame and glory and riches and prosperity and money and kindness and friendship and celebrity in your 10th house. You're probably having a bit of stormy celebrity going on at the top of your sky, or popular with the boss, or good things happening in the work environment and career. But at the same time, she's in a trine to Mars in the workhouse. Mars is letting us joy here. He's working hard. He's trying to give you the decisions, actions, and passion you need to accomplish career success. And Venus wants the same thing for you. Mars is directing her because she's in his house, but he's also under a great deal of strain in Cancer. His emotions are not quite tempered here. You might have some kind of emotional or energetic burnout, even while good things are happening on Monday and Tuesday. That's the best I can tell you. And it's not too shabby for quitting addictions and the trine to Saturn, or changing your dietary style. But there's this feeling of all the energy, the emotional chutzpah and drive and ambition that Mars puts out in the 6th house of the work and the work routines and the flow to the Venus on the top of the sky. It's kind of like, it's all so good and I am so tired, or I need a break, or can someone just give me a rest in peace moment here? So there is that. Jupiter will and Mercury has good news for you Monday and Tuesday, as he is in a trine to Jupiter. Jupiter is all about luck in the money luck house. This includes lottery wins, casinos, and gaming, good fortune through speculation. And Mercury is in a trine from Libra. This can happen once every 12 years that Mercury can trine Jupiter in your 5th house from Libra. So rare, rare, rare. So that is money luck that can come through. Governments, government institutions, including lotteries, for far-off foreigners and foreign places, a book deal, a book contract, anything like that, publishing, or some really good luck regarding your children in higher educational settings, or your children and travel, or things that are lucky to you around foreigners, foreign places, international and travel matters, or judicial luck, court wins. That's true. That's true on Monday, Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, Jupiter stations retrograde and will be retrograde in your 5th house to deepen your bounty over the course of the next 4 months. Now, that doesn't mean you can't win money. And I actually like Jupiter retrograde here because it means it's money from the past. So you've already bought the ticket. Like I bought a hospital lottery ticket, children's hospital. Jupiter's in the house of children. So maybe that just means that the thing from the past bears bounty. The fruitfulness comes from the past. And Jupiter goes over ground you've traveled since July 15th. Please go listen to my deep dive for all signs. Came out Sunday, the day before this video is released on a Monday. Go listen to the video for your sign, because I will not repeat it here. Okay, but that Jupiter retrograde can deepen your financial luck, deepen your connection to your children. Your children can have luck from things that have happened to them in their past, etc. Let's go on and talk about Pluto and direct motion. And it is his last stand in Capricorn, unless you want to live for 250 more years. Well, so what lessons have we learned as Aquarians, as Pluto spent 16 years in our 12th house? We've learned about enlightenment. I have. Go check out my Awakened Dreamer blog. We have learned about spiritual release and surrender. We have learned about our own addictions and self-undoing, and how we fall away from our lives by sabotaging our best outcomes. And we've learned about our solitude and solace being a place of great power. Aquarians are not desperate for social activity. They like humanity. They don't like people. But when Pluto moved through this part of our chart since 2008, we began to see the power of solitude and what we could accomplish by being alone in our cave. And I sure did in the pandemic learn that lesson. That's how this astrology business that I've created for you on YouTube was built, through isolation and aloneness during a pandemic, especially when I did not accept the unsafe and ineffective measures, right? And I was even further isolated. You're going to find that this story of the depths of your solitude, your aloneness, your inner life, your contemplation, your spiritual attainment is closing a chapter, and the end of addictions and self-undoing. When this ends for you, and Pluto is moving direct on the 11th of October through to November the 19th, you may also experience some breakthroughs that take you beyond what you've already learned. One of the ways we receive wealth from Pluto in the 12th house is money we generate from international revenue, borderless source and income. You could work for an international company. You might do import export, or you might be a digital creator receiving money from countries around the world through PayPal, Stripe, etc. Well, Pluto can give you the last big wealth, up level here. So look for that as a possibility. Now, Pluto is the god of death, and there is Zeus sitting with him, which is a king of Mount Olympus. It is a possibility that as Pluto goes into direct motion and squares Mercury in your ninth house with the sun, the loss of a father figure connected to you might maybe through marriage. Jupiter is in Libra. I mean, it says Libra, but also there is the sign of Juno, the goddess of marriage. So it can be that a loss of a father figure or a former marriage or current marriage partner, sun rules your seventh house, leads to a crisis decision and action moment that must be attended to Friday through to Monday or so, Friday through to Sunday, as Mercury squares Pluto in his direct motion. This can impact you regarding matters of third marriages and decisions there, and third marriages and travel, foreign lands, foreign shores, and crisis or changes that need to be addressed Friday through to Monday. Legal matters and court cases are also on the agenda, and look for phone calls, text messages, and emails regarding book publishing, higher level academics, and foreign travel and visas as a big story that you're really noticing you must make these decisions on and take some actions on or focus on somehow Friday through Monday. Mars is in opposition to Pluto and gets more acutely opposing Pluto as we come to the end of October. And that's major life decisions connected to foreign lands, foreign shores, work opportunities, and potentially separation from a significant other because of Mars's inevitable travel through Leo in November and December. So we shall see what goes on for us Aquarians. And there's that Pholus domino effect that's prevailing around the middle of this week on Wednesday as the moon moves into her detriment in Capricorn and squares the nodes of fate. So look for some major events around the middle of the week that connect to this Pluto's last stand, right? It's kind of like what things are going to happen around Wednesday or come to your attention around Wednesday that have to do with visas, travel, foreign shores, foreign lands, father figures, inheritances or shared resources from them. But it's a domino effect. So one small thing is dominoing out, and it may not be fully available for you to know the truth of it until we end the weekend ahead. All right, a court decision, a visa, passport, who knows, a book publishing situation, a domino, power and wealth. Anyway, you're lucky. You got Jupiter in a house of luck as a lucky guy through to next June. So everyone who's an Aquarius, take a deep breath. It's going to be all fine. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. What a week. It's a mixed bag. It sure is. I can't pretend it's not. We have the Pluto's last stand and Jupiter retrograde. But let's start off Monday, Tuesday with Venus trining Mars. Not so hot, not the best, right? Mars is in his detriment, so is Venus, but what can we do with it? So this is your children and your romantic and sexual life, entrepreneurial and creative stuff, Pisces. And Mars is trying to tell Venus what to do in his house, and she's in a tempestuous storm. There can be some matters to do with travel, foreign lands, and foreign shores and children, matters to do with legal matters with children, matters to do with your own romantic life and your desire to travel. It can be as simple as you want to have a romantic getaway with the one you're with, but there's a lot of complications. The tempestuous storm of Venus in your ninth house can be some spiritual faith fallout where you're losing faith in something spiritual, something true, something you have values around. And there's a storm. Again, with Mars in the fifth house, a lot of this could be about your children and not even about you. And you're on the witness bystander seat, or your children or your grandchildren. And those stories are like in your face Monday, Tuesday. But we also see Mercury trining Jupiter at the same time, Monday, Tuesday, and that's good news. Good news around chunky money and land and property, real estate and mortgages, money you share with your partner in love and resources and business partnerships, and a good feel-good story around agreements, monies. It's ideal for securing a mortgage, refinancing a loan, buying or selling a property, good vibes Monday, Tuesday, and that's lovely for you. Then we move into Jupiter retrograde. Station's retrograde on the 9th, which is Wednesday. He'll be retrograde till February. This happened 12 years ago. It's back again. Jupiter retrograde here wants to go backwards over territory he's traveled specifically since July 15th to do with property, home, land, real estate, childhood matters, family of origin, mother matters. And he's retrograding to deepen the bounty, to secure a solid foundation for whatever plenitude you've already created. And as he's retrograding, he'll go back over old ground. Go listen to my video on Sunday. It came out, deep dive into Jupiter's bounty deepening for your sign. I'm not going to repeat it here. It's already out. Then we're going to talk about the big stand, the last stand of the Pluto Capricorn story. It's so important. Pluto has been traveling since 2008 in the sign of your 11th house, your hopes, your dreams, and your wishes, your relationship to friends and benefactors and allies and groups of belonging, your area of your chart that represents your relationship to the sibling one older than you. You've had depths of death and rebirth and transformation in those relationships, those friendships, those dreams and goals for your life, as well as the way you gain money and success in your career. Ups and downs, deaths and rebirths all over the place. Now you're ready to finally take those lessons, claim the rewards, and move on. Pluto will be moving forward October the 11th, Friday, through to November the 19th with his final booty for you. It is a house of karmic and cosmic rewards. It can indicate windfalls and pennies from heaven. If any riches come to you, it can come via an elder sibling, an ally, or a benefactor, for example. Now, one thing about this is that when Pluto stations direct, he also manages to get all tangled up in a square to Mercury at the tail end of Libra. And that can require immediate decisions and actions that you must take Friday through Sunday to do with money you share with a spouse, inheritance monies, money to do with credit cards and bank loans and mortgages. These are 8th house debts. Money to do with inheritance is especially true. So that kind of money, there's a South Node letting go. There's a Juno contractual agreements. Something needs to be addressed around those types of financial matters. Otherwise, Pluto's revealing a deep, dark secret connected to your childhood or connected to your marriage partner, or even potentially a child in your life. Either way, if a secret is revealed or money matter must be addressed Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday, it is for your benefit. You will gain from this story, not lose from this story, because Pluto is sextiling your Pisces sun, moon, and rising. Saturn makes you solid, sober, realistic, stoic, and wise. You've got this, whatever it is, you've got it. You know, there's a kind of turning point Pholus effect, a domino effect that's spinning up a little bit on Wednesday. And that's when the moon in her detriment is moving through your 11th house and will square or be in a difficult relationship to the nodes of fate, the bending of the nodes of fate in your 2nd house of earnings and in your 8th house of shared resources with others, other people's money. And that is your spouse's money and your business partner's money and the bank's money and the investment money. Okay. Shareholders, all that. So there's a critical domino effect. One thing that happens in the 11th house of good spirit can turn everything around, and it starts to domino forward after Wednesday. I mean, the moon is a female, so a female could have a domino effect for you. Look to female friends, female siblings to make a domino shift in your outlook on your own financial matters. Because look, you've had Chiron in your 2nd house of resources, possessions, food style, and face, making you feel wounded, all about that stuff. And food styles and what you eat and what you ingest. You've been wounded there ever since 2019. This is a real critical turning point, a domino effect with Pluto's support to end those kinds of wounds, especially around your resourcefulness and how you are able to resource enough money for food, shelter, water, and support yourself. Something wants to change here. And with Jupiter retrograde in the 4th house of legacy, well, for some of you, there is some inheritance money that could end up showing up in your life. And it may be from your past, it was overlooked and there's some money owed to you from somewhere, somehow, some way. All right. Hopefully this is going to be useful for you. And I don't mind Jupiter in your 4th house. I mean, he'll be here till next June, and he continues to support you not only in spiritual liberation, but 8th house monies. And so if you're going through a separation or a divorce and Mercury rules your marriage house, or you will prevail and you will do well financially. You just have to have trust in Jupiter's wisdom as he goes backwards in order to slingshot forward financially for you regarding money you share with a spouse or inheritance monies, especially. And Pluto, he's kind of trying to help the story as well, because he will move into Aquarius November 19th. He activates the ability to slingshot some really good wealth opportunities for you. But again, you're going to look at things to do with paying off debt, literally ending credit card debt, enhancing your financial well-being through legacy wealth, inheritances, and shared resources with a spouse. Okay, Good luck with that, you Pisces. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Damn it, Janet, probably one of my long videos again. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Hit the like button. Don't forget, I have everything about me. My Patreon community gets this earlier than you. I get it the day before. I'm behind because I'm teaching Sky Reader. I've got a lot on my plate, but please check out all the things about me. I'll get a lot of freebies for you in the description box below. Scroll down under the more button. I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be Thursday. My normal days of release are Sunday, Monday, Thursday. I have an election video coming out Tuesday. That's a special edition on the election series, but normally you'll see content from me on average, usually Sunday, Mondays, and Thursdays. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care and have an amazing week ahead. Whew.